Hey, I'm just happy to be here. I mean, anytime you get a room full of developers, architects, sprinkle in a bunch of executives, I'm just happy. Now, let me ask you this. Well, first of all, I got to tell you, one of the core principles at DocuSign is dancing is defined as dance like nobody's looking, especially in a crowd of thousands of people, being videos around the world and memorialized forever. So let me ask you, I used to ask the question, how many of you use DocuSign before? But I'm not going to ask that question. I'm going to ask, how many of you have not used DocuSign before? Raise your hand. Because I got my chief of staff over here. Stand up, hero. Get their names. I think I saw two. Okay. You're getting DocuSign for free. As a matter of fact, all of you, we're going to send you DocuSign free, personal copy for your individual use. All right. It is a privilege to be here, and I want to thank Greg for inviting me to talk about my favorite subject, and that is disruption. And I think the question here is to disrupt or to be disrupted? That is the question. I think it's from Shakespeare, something like that. I don't know that stuff very well, but I do remember, playing football, it was always the best defense is a strong offense. That's why a key statistic in football is how many minutes does the offensive team have the ball versus the defensive team, right? Because the offensive guys, they're acting. The defensive guys are reacting. And by the way, when you're reacting, you get tired faster. Plus, defensive guys are bigger guys. They get tired much faster. So that's why that's a key statistic. Now, at Harvard Business School, they call that a KPI, a key performance indicator. I didn't know we knew that stuff in football, but anyway, that's a good KPI. And what's funny is we've kind of become, DocuSign's become a beacon for disruption over the last couple of years. So I'm always being asked to go on TV or Bloomberg or CNBC or something like that, and they always want to ask the question, and they usually start off, because you got to be careful of these reporters, They may be good looking, but they're lurking in the woods. And so they'll start off and say, well, Keith, DocuSign, it's an amazing company. You guys are the global standard in this new big category that's emerged, digital transaction management. You're the big disruptor. What are you disrupting? I go, paper. Well, tell us some more about that. It's been done the same way for 3,000 years. Can't you tell us a little more about that? Yeah, paper doesn't punch back. How fun is that? Have a great job. And after they ask those questions, then it's a piece of cake, because no matter what question they ask, I'm always going to get back to a customer case study. I always tell our guys, I know what the answers are. I'm just curious what those questions are going to be on TV, right? Just talk about the customers. So when Greg came over to my office, our headquarters are only a few blocks from here, and we kind of got to know each other, and I always ask somebody, hey, go through your background. Walk me through. And he goes, hey, how about yours? I go, oh, okay, that's cool. He asked about my favorite subject, let me tell you. And so he said after that, he goes, I want you to be on my advisory board. And I said, why? He goes, well, you're like an old guy. You're like 60 years old, and we're in the fourth industrial revolution. You've seen a lot. I like to learn by OPE, other people's experience. I go, aha, you are a true Silicon Valley guy. That's right, because if you steal from one, it's plagiarism. If you steal from more than one, it's market research. I go, that's awesome. I go, well, you had me at hello, so I would love to do it. And by the way, I've only seen 3 industrial revolutions. I wasn't around when the railroad guys were starting their business. And for the record, I'm not 60. I'm 59 and a half, so don't bring that up again. And so I agreed to that. And he said, and also we'd love you to do a little talk at our conference. And I said, why? And he goes, well, you just got telling me you've had a chance to build 4 disruptive companies. One in the early 80s in the robotics business with General Motors. You put GE, IBM, and Westinghouse out of business in the robot. Now it's the #1 robot company in the world. You said you came out to Silicon Valley. You started a mechanical engineering design software company where you took the ability to do design optimizations out of these expensive PhD hands and put it in the hands of regular old design engineers. It's still being used today. And then he goes, after you did that, you started this company called Ariba, and you ran that for many years. And see, you just got done telling me that the Ariba network now has $1 trillion of commerce go through that network on an annual basis. That's more than eBay, Amazon, and Alibaba combined. And you see at this conference, we're announcing the application network. So it's perfect. And then the thing at DocuSign, you know, you guys are disrupted, you guys are disrupting yourselves. And, you spend a third of your time with CEOs on their digital transformation because they're scared out of their mind that they're going to be disrupted. You're DocuSign enabling all these companies like Uber and Amazon and 99% of these disruptors. You are fueling this disruption. You get to see it from that angle. And then you're disrupting yourselves because you're going through change all the time. And you said that you have a thing at DocuSign called a 1 key metric that everybody in the company is compensated on from the reception on up, which is based on successful transactions. And you said last year you did as many successful transactions last year as you've done life to date in the first 12 years. And 60% of those transactions are through APIs. And see, API is everything. How about that? Thank you. And I said, that's a good answer. What time and where, how much, I don't care. I'm in. And then he said, well, what do you want to talk about? Well, I said, one word. And that one word is transformation. Because MuleSoft's in the transformation business, DocuSign's in the transformation business, and I bet each and every one of those members of the MuleSoft family that are going to be at your conference are also in the transformation business. And see, I love that because, transformation is another fancy word. I mean, I'm an Ohio farm boy. Back where we come from, we call it change. And I do believe change is the most powerful word in English, in the English language or any language, because without change, we won't develop, prosper, or grow. And in the business world, you change or you die. It's that simple. And the best way to control the future is to invent it. So when I heard about all his MuleSoft case studies and couple that with the things we're seeing out there with DocuSign, and I think in this audience, what you guys have accomplished in terms of changing your departments, changing your companies, changing your industries, changing your institutions, your universities, and changing your countries. Now, for me, that's inspiring. And that is transforming. And it's not easy. It's not for the meek and mild. It's for the brave and courageous, those who dream, have faith, and expect the best. And because you're balancing the top line, you're balancing the bottom line, you're balancing your customer needs, and it's uncertain times. What's going to happen with the economy? Hey, what's going on over there in China? A unique political cycle? A lot of uncertain times, right? And, sometimes you just want to crawl under that desk and get in the fetal position. I've been there many times. And what do you do to pull yourself out of that fetal position under your desk? You get up and you say, I got to focus on the stuff I can control. That's what you do. And then out of the blue, all of a sudden, here it comes. Disruption, the disruption train. You know, and it's brought on exactly what Greg was talking about this morning. The pace of change in technology, the cloud, the mobile, all that kind of stuff. The change in customers, right? Their experience doing everything on a mobile phone. And here comes these disruptive business models from your competitors and, worst of all, from these disruptors. And it's coming on like a freight train. I call it the fits train because it calls everybody fits in the company, and then you start throwing fits. And, some of you can relate. And by the way, for some of you, you know it's coming, and you're doing something about it. For some of you others, it's already hit you, you're scrambling. And for those of you who don't think it's coming, well, I can tell you one thing. Within a 50-mile radius of right here, billions and billions of dollars, venture capital money, is going into companies to disrupt an industry and disrupt a company like yours. And I'll tell you, it's interesting. It's interesting for me to see it from the angle in terms of spending a third of my time with the CEOs and to see how scary this is. You saw that fortune list that Greg put up. It's unique to see it from these smart young dudes, man, that have nothing to lose. And go do this disruption. And in Silicon Valley, man, if you fail, that's a badge of honor. You just pick yourself up the ground, dust off your shoulder, walk across the street, and go do it again. That's what you do. All right? And we're just not seeing it in the technology business. We see it in the healthcare business, insurance business, the financial services business, transportation. We're seeing it in the public sector, nonprofits. We're seeing it literally in every industry. And I want to give you a couple examples that are near and dear to my heart. Let's start off with transportation. I think many of you don't know, I spent my first 10 years of my career at General Motors. By the way, they were at the very top of the list. When I worked there, it was the most powerful company on the planet. The CEO of General Motors said, what's good for General Motors is good for the country. We employed 1.5 million employees. Now, my first job there, I was a production foreman, second shift chassis line in the only Cadillac plant in the world, and back then it was the standard of the world. Getting a Cadillac was the ultimate, right? And as these cars were coming off, as these Cadillacs were coming off the end of the assembly line, about 50% of them had to go into the repair bin because they were defective. And I remember, because we'd attend the meetings, all the production foremen, and we would say 50% are going to the install bin. And so they treated me like some high potential guy. They let me go to a whole bunch of meetings right up the food chain. And I could see the general foreman, he'd report up to the plant superintendent. He goes, yeah, we have a few cars going in the install bin, but I think we got a handle on the defects. And then I'd see that report go to the VP of manufacturing at Cadillac. We got one or two issues we're working on. I think we have it solved. Then I had a chance to work in the New York Treasurer's office. That's where they have the board meetings. That's where all the high muckety-mucks work. The guy who was my immediate supervisor ended up being the CEO of General Motors for 10 years, a guy named Rick Wagner. And I would see at that board meeting, all of a sudden it's like, they'd say, go up to the group VP, right? The group VP, okay, our quality's not exactly where we want it, but it's very close. And then go from the group VP to the executive VP. And he would say, Cadillac is the standard of the world. And then in the board meeting, you know what they say? We have no competition. By the way, sound familiar? That is a lesson. For any of you who are disruptors, you can attack the big guys that way. For any of you who are big guys, don't forget that, right? Because the guys at the top, man, they don't want to hear bad news. And by the way, at General Motors, I was a vice president at General Motors. When you're a director, everybody gets a free company car. When you're VP and above, not only do you get a free company car, but they trade them out every now and then, and you have a special parking place in the garage where guys wash it every day. You think you have a defect? You don't know. And by the way, you know what you don't have to do? The worst experience of a lifetime? Go into a dealership. You don't do any of that stuff, man. I learned later on after I left General Motors, that's no fun, man. That is a miserable process. You know, they play the game. You got to talk to the sales manager. We'll see. It's a horrible buying process. And they always said, not only do we have no competition, nobody can disrupt us, because you see, it takes $5 billion to bring a design, cradle to grave, get that thing, and another $5 billion to build a plant. So it's $10 billion to bring out a new product. And no other company on the world back then had the financial wherewithal to compete. Okay, so they're safe forever and ever. But then here comes Tesla. And how about that? They turned it upside down. By the way, you know how you buy a car with Tesla? You go look, see what you want. Call them up, boom. Guys say, hey, we'll send you the DocuSign paperwork. Boom, boom, DocuSign. You're not talking to those crazy, slimy sales managers. Nah, I mean, I'm not, they're nice guys. But it's just all right through DocuSign. How nice is that? I always have, if anybody buys a Tesla, they go, Krach, DocuSign. I go, I know. And now look at this. This is about 6 weeks ago, they introduced the Model 3. They got like 230,000 orders in the first couple weeks. And they got down payments. It was like a year ahead of time. Before they even shipped it, they got $1 billion of cash, $10 billion worth of orders that they can go finance at a bank, and they got themselves that $10 billion to compete. That's pretty smart. And it's not foolish. Anyway, okay. Now, then comes the biggest disruptor of all. And Greg talked about this, Uber. I'm telling you, this thing is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm ashamed to say it. I'm going to say it publicly. This is cone of silence. Everything I say remains in this room. Bleep out the video. I haven't had a car in 4 years. You see, my wife and I, we lived up until recently in a 2-bedroom apartment. Our world headquarters are right just a few blocks away. I walk to work. I go, I don't need a car because parking's expensive. You can't find it. I always get parking tickets. Insurance, taxes, gas. Oop, I mean, by the way, I feel like I'm better than a General Motors guy because I got a black limo every day. I'm a big shot. And if you're going to be impotent, look impotent in that Uber. I'm their #1 customer. You know, I go on panels, and they're great, and Uber's a great customer for us. And you know, I go on a panel with these guys. I go, your mission is the same as ours. Simplify people's lives securely. How nice is that? I mean, so it's a disruptor. It changed my life. It also disrupted my heritage. But anyway, life moves on. Now let's talk about another life changer for me, and this is in a good way. Okay? This is the real estate business. All right? It's the biggest purchase most people make in their lifetime. And I love it because this is the first industry where DocuSign actually became a verb. And, you know, the old way of doing things, man, you'd have to, you know, you see the signing ceremony, you got the husband and the wife from this side, the husband and the wife, you got the real estate agents, man, you got all that crazy stuff. So I'm going to tell you a personal story. So we have 4-year-old twins. We have 5 kids. 3 of them are older, thank God, not living in anything. Because, you see, we live in this 2-bedroom apartment, and all of a sudden it got a little cozy with these 4-year-old twins. You know, Heckle and Jekyll. And so Meta, my wife, goes, hey, man, we got to get ourselves a house. I go, man, home ownership is not the next best thing to be in there. But, okay, you got me. And she's a real estate attorney. She was senior corporate counsel of the Gap, ran all the real estate laws. So I go, okay. go out and find one. Can you imagine a woman with that kind of superpower who's like possessed and motivated? Go find a home. Anyway, she found one. Didn't take long. She goes, and she knows how to work. She goes, just check it out. And I went walking in this house, man. The second I went walking in there, I just fell in love with it. And you know how you're doing it. And by the way, I said, because it's all about the real estate agent. I said, before I go, tell me about the real estate agent. She goes, Krach, you're going to love this. I think he's from Indiana, and I actually think he's a Purdue Boilermaker. I go, whoa, trustworthy. Right. Obviously, I'm a Boilermaker. And so, you know how it goes. Go walking in, and I'm just looking at this house, And I'm like totally in love. I don't need to see the kitchen cabinets or cupboards or closets or any stuff those guys make you do. I was only in there 15 minutes. And he goes to me, and I'm thinking I love it. He goes, so what do you think of it, Keith? I go, it's okay. You know how you do that. And then I go, let me just ask you a question. Where are you from? He goes, well, I grew up in West Lafayette, Indiana. I go, did you go to Purdue? He goes, yeah. I go, do you like basketball? Of course, yeah. And then I go, all right, I just have one more question. Do you use DocuSign? And he goes, DocuSign, it changed my life. I go, sold. How fun is that? All right. And so check this out. So there's my wife. That's Meta, the real estate attorney. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Anyway, she negotiated. And how great was that? I mean, look, there's nobody else there. There's no sign. I never even met the people who had the house for me, let alone the other real estate agent. And it's just like, hey, Meta, you just put me second on the workflow, and I got work to do. Boom, instant house. How great is that? All right. Now, next thing you got to do is you got to get a mortgage. Now, that's messy. That's complex. You got to apply to 5 banks. You got to look at all these different rates, fixed, variable, 15-year, 30-year, reverse mortgage. I don't know what that's going to be about. That sounds dangerous. Mountain of paperwork. It is horrible. But now you can just go to Loan Depot. And these guys are disruptors. They are transforming the lending model. They take you all through origination process to service it, and it's all powered by the DocuSign API. They built their platform on the DocuSign API, and they've totally disrupted the lending market, and they are giving banks fits 100 times their X. They're now the #2 lender in the nation. And that shows you the power of APIs and the power of a handful of super smart developers. All right, so you buy a house, you got your mortgage. Now the thing is you got to buy some stuff, man. Furniture, all that kind of. You got to buy a lot of stuff. And I don't know about you, but I hate checks and checkbooks. I'm on a jihad against paper, right? It's my job. It's my vocation. It's my avocation. Okay? So, instead of writing the check now anymore, man, I just go right to my mobile. I open my Venmo app, my PayPal, and within seconds, my bank transfers money to the other bank. It's fully digital. It's no paper. How cool is that? I love these guys at PayPal, man. They're a disruptor. Great customer, too. and so now you're thinking, well, what's happened to those big banks? You saw Greg's slide. I love that slide, where he had the website of the bank, and it showed 100 disruptors attacking every little corner and angle. I mean, what happens if you're one of these big banks and you're transferring billions, maybe $1 trillion a year? What do? And by the way, I'm going to talk about one of those guys a little later on, okay? I mean, think about it. I know with the banks, here's what's happening. Those guys are going into fits over the Loan Depot guys, over the PayPal guys. And they're having fits because they have a case of the fits. They are throwing fits everywhere. And I spend, a third of my time with these big guys. And, man, they are in fits. So I know what you're thinking. Well, what does fit stand for? Well, it's a condition. And we call this condition at DocuSign, get ready for this, failed transformation traumatic syndrome. That's a case of the fits. Yeah, you can steal my material because it would be market research, because I know you're stealing from Greg. And that's what happens when companies get disrupted, and they need to do everything. Here comes the 1,000 projects that Greg talked about. Here comes the hamsters, the gerbils, anything that gets in those flywheels. They're going. And what do? They kind of do the same thing, but they slap the label on it, digital transformation. They tried and they tried left and right. They're not getting any quick wins. They got an army of consultants. They're not bringing out the MuleSoft application network and hooking their applications together. And they're literally spending millions, billions of dollars. They have nothing to show for it but a failed transformation. They're not even thinking of MuleSoft. And by the way, when that transformation fails, that's traumatic. And then they just keep hearing all over and over again, John Chambers, what he says every keynote. The Fortune 500 companies, 40% of them will not be able to cross the digital chasm. And over the next 10 years, they'll either go out of business or they're irrelevant. So it's like, everything's going to fits, and everybody's worried, oh my God, we're going to turn into another Blockbuster, just like Reed Hastings and Netflix did to them. So everybody goes into fits. And then here's what happens. Look at this. It's a death spiral, and it's devastating. Because these new change customers, their customer satisfaction goes down. And when that happens, market share goes down. When that happens, revenue goes down. When revenue goes down, your earnings per share goes down. When that happens, shareholder value drops. And by the way, that's when the shareholders start having fits, and out come the activist board members. You're starting to lose people in the company. You have retention problems. You can't invest back into the business. And then what happens? The CEO catches fits. Now, when the CEO catches fits, he starts throwing them left and right. And that's when it becomes a highly viral syndrome. Everybody's thrown into fits. It's a nightmare, and it's traumatic. And everything comes to a grinding halt. Everybody's under the desk in the fetal position. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm a happy guy. So I'm going to take you to a happy place. I'm going to talk about the cure. See, the cure is interesting. I mean, it's the antidote for fits, because it cures it if you have it, and it's also vaccination and prevents it. And it's what I call the 5 transformation imperatives. So let's talk about this happy place. The 5 transformation imperatives. And there's 5 ingredients. It's leadership, technology, mindset, trust, and speed. Now, when you look at these 5 ingredients, they're not additive, they're multiplicative. So on a scale from 1 to 10, it doesn't add up to 50. It's 10 to the 5th power. It's 100,000. Now, here's the other thing about being multiplicative. If one of those is 0, the whole thing is 0. So you got to operate on all those dimensions. So let's look at them. So let's start with leadership. By the way, we had a great kickoff with Greg on that. He personified leadership, painting that vision of what can happen, and really brought it home. I love the asteroid thing. I mean, that's going to replace the Fitz train. I'm market researching them. So here it is, the CEO of Citicorp, the largest global bank in the world. They transfer $1 trillion of money every single day. They pay the United States military. Think about that. Think about that guy. Wouldn't you think he'd be in fits? Well, I got to have lunch with him a couple of months ago, right over here in the Palace Hotel. And I'll tell you what, he was not into fits. He was quite the opposite. He was about the nicest guy you ever met. And you know what was interesting? He talked about his challenges. He talked about them openly. And he talked about the Uber moment has now begun in banking. And over the next 10 years, 1/3 of the retail banking jobs in the United States will be gone. He's communicated that internally to his company, and he has communicated externally. And he faced this challenge by challenging the status quo, all the way down to the level of use cases. That's leadership, and he has inspired a shared vision. And I was so blown away in that 2-hour lunch that I had with him. I said, hey, I talked to this guy, Greg, and he wants me to do a keynote. Can I get a video of you? And he goes, well, Keith, I never do, videos for, Trump and Hillary come in on their knees to me, man. And then a little sidebar, I said, well, what do you say? He goes, I just ask them, what do they think of the big banks? But anyway, let's get it. So I asked him, he goes, well, you know what? I believe so much in this cause, I'm gonna do a video, and I'll never do it. I never do it. And by the way, I ruffle a few feathers with the PR department, but I always go straight to the top. So let's see what Mike has to say. Roll the video.
At Citi, we're focused on delivering financial services that enable economic growth and progress for our clients around the world. For more than 200 years, we've worked to help our clients meet some of the world's toughest challenges and embrace its greatest opportunities. One of the biggest opportunities for the vast majority of our clients and for us at Citi lies within making the digital transformation. To be successful in the banking industry, digital capabilities are a must-have, and developing them needs to be an integral part of your strategy. Working with DocuSign, we've seen the positive impact of going digital in our business, being able to serve our clients whenever and wherever it's convenient for them, anytime, anywhere, and on any device. We've identified many use cases where we can create a better, faster, more convenient digital experience for our customers, partners, vendors, suppliers, and employees globally. From new account openings and onboarding, to change of address and beneficiary forms, to client communications, loan applications and closing, our partnership is helping us digitize many processes across our business. And Citi is thrilled to have joined the DocuSign Global Trust Network.
How about that, Mike Corbett? I can tell you that man is a great leader, and he totally embodies the importance of tight partnerships and using technology as a catalyst. And you think of all the applications that they've bought and homegrown, it is just ripe for the MuleSoft network. So let's look at the next ingredient, okay? Let's look at technology. Now, using technology as a catalyst like Mike did. And this is Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. I'll tell you the thing I love about him, in addition to being a great partner, is that he truly models the way. And Microsoft was one of our early customers many years ago, and they had an initiative called Digitopia. Kind of an interesting name. They're from Seattle, but anyway. But it was all about getting rid of paper. So they practiced what they preach. Now Microsoft uses DocuSign in over 200 use cases around the world to get rid of that paper. And then what they did is they took the DocuSign APIs and the Office APIs, and they've integrated the products seamlessly. So you have DocuSign for Office. And last year we were their partner of the year. They even went as far as Microsoft Family Benefit, giving each one of their employees a personal copy of DocuSign for individual use. Why? Well, first of all, it's a great thing. It's a great benefit. But the second reason is it speeds up adoption, which is the #1 driver of their ROI. Plus, if you onboard yourself, you're out there looking for additional use cases and utilizing the APIs. And then they also came back and invested in DocuSign. So that partnership thing is key. Now, I'm going to show you Satya, and I'm going to show you some of our other partners, and they all have 3 things in common. 1, they're enterprise global customers. 2, we've done integrations through our API from a technology standpoint and have a go-to-market partnership. And then 3rd, they're all investors. So let's hear from Satya.
I'm thrilled at the work Microsoft and DocuSign are doing together to help our mutual customers be more productive and easily collaborate from anywhere.
At Visa, our enemy is cash. Much like at DocuSign, their enemy is paper.
The DocuSign for Google Chrome extension enables customers to send, sign, and manage documents directly from their desktop with instant access to DocuSign from Gmail and other apps.
The standards work that DocuSign is doing with the XDTM Council is something that we're a proud member of.
DocuSign is the official provider of e-signature services under the Realtor Benefits Program.
With DocuSign, we've seen good ROI, speedy deployment, and great ease of use.
DocuSign helps our customers be more efficient, higher performing, and goal crushing.
DocuSign is just one more tool in our digital arsenal, and it's a super powerful one.
At Telstra, we're delighted with our partnership with DocuSign.
Our strategic partnership with DocuSign enables Comcast and Comcast Ventures to move business forward.
We can vision great potential as part of the DocuSign Global Trust Network.
I can think of no other partnership that strikes the momentum and the chord of Run Simple better than DocuSign and SAP.
DocuSign and go live your life.
DocuSign helps us to make customers' life easier.
All right, how about that? By the way, for all the MuleSoft employees, that's a target-rich environment, all those companies right there. And did you love Tim Hodges, the CEO of Deutsche Telekom? I mean, this guy is an amazing guy. He is the CEO of arguably the most powerful company in Europe. He's also on the board of British Telecom. He's like a Silicon Valley German CEO guy's wiry, fast, man. And he's a civil servant for the country of Germany. And the thing I love about him is his Teutonic thinking. And it is all about simplicity. And you've got to get rid of the paper before you can do all the artificial intelligence, big data, and all of that. And it's interesting. I had an opportunity to stand in front of his top 1,000 leaders the end of January. They had a one-day offsite focused on their digital transformation and how to help their customers. And he said, in order to steer the ship at Deutsche Telekom in terms of our digital transformation, it has to be moving. And DocuSign gets us moving with our quick wins. And I love that. And he invited me to do the case study just like here. And he learns from everybody. And how about this as an introduction? So he goes, okay, now you're going to hear from Keith Krach from the United States, DocuSign, right? And he goes, I just got back from our T-Mobile board meeting. By the way, they own 60% of T-Mobile. He's the chairman. And he goes, they told me that they could have never launched the Apple VI without DocuSign because, see, we paid $25 million to DocuSign to roll out to our 3,000 retail stores because the JUMP program is basically a loan under the covers and we need it for compliance and security reasons. And we're kicking AT&T's behind. And I could say it in German if you want, but and Verizon's. And he goes, what they talked about at the board meeting is last year they saved 600 million pieces of paper, put $200 million to the bottom line, and took the average sign-up time from 58 minutes to 8 minutes. Now, please, listen, I mean, how about that for an introduction? All right, let's listen to Tim. I mean, this is the bellwether guy in Europe.
The most valuable brand worldwide is Deutsche Telekom. But we are more than just another company that provides society with infrastructure. We want to make life easier for people and enriching it. We are in the center of the digital transformation as well with our company. We want to operate as a fully digital business and bring the digital innovations to our customers in a very simple way. To fulfill our mission, we work together with strong partners across the globe. We know the value of DocuSign firsthand, and as a result, we are more successful with our strategy. As partners, we even brought our top leadership team together at Keith's Beach Shack, and we built an emotional and rational relationship. Trust is the basis for every business. And we had also DocuSign presented at our annual top 1000 leader meeting focusing on digitalization. DocuSign was our case study on how to transform our leadership culture through quick wins. Our strategic partnership with DocuSign is a big differentiator for us here in Germany. Not only empowering our own digital transformation, but helping our customers to go digital and to keep life and business moving forward. Deutsche Telekom is proud to be part of the DocuSign Global Trust Network.
How about that, Tim Hodges? So to me, he articulated very well that fourth ingredient, and that is trust, because that's the basis of every relationship, personal, business, or otherwise. And, and the thing that I love about this get-together is when you look at Greg and what the team is doing here, it is about building that trusted relationship, because what you're doing is not easy. And to be able to do it face-to-face like this is absolutely key. And if you ask us, our businesses come down to one word: trust. For us at DocuSign, we are maniacally focused on providing a trusted service through our global DocuSign Trust Network. And sometimes we may not take ourselves seriously, but we take trust seriously, and trust is sacrosanct. And when it comes to companies' digital transformations, when they're being disrupted, it is an essential element to have trusted partners, trusted employees, trusted shareholders, and trusted leaders. And because when you're getting disrupted, you need partners like MuleSoft. And I'll tell you why. Because you got to beware. Because looking everywhere are these disruptors, whether it's a leopard or an asteroid. And by the way, it's lurking everywhere to cause you fits. And so when you hear, hey, we can't challenge the status quo, that might be challenging the status quo. Or when you hear, hey, we're implementing big data, artificial intelligence, BI. We don't have time to integrate our applications together. We don't have time to get rid of paper. We don't have time for quick wins. You know what? We'll do that stuff next year. Beware, because you're about ready to get a case of the fits. And for those of you who are doing something about it, you know the rules of the jungle have changed, right? And that's the fifth ingredient: speed. It is all about speed. And the ultimate goal is to satisfy your customer needs better and faster than your competitors or those disruptors that are lurking. And speed is the number one currency today, that momentum. And I love what Ross said. It's the bigs not going to win. It's those companies that are willing to adapt and be flexible and move fast. At DocuSign, we say The big's not going to eat the small. The quick is going to eat the slow. So the time is now. The future of your all companies is in your hands. It's up to you. It's action now. It's not 1 year from now. And you know what? Looking back, you don't want to be on that scratched out list. Success needs no explanation. Failure needs no alibi. Failure is not an option. It's go time. It is MuleSoft time. It's not Miller time. So you pull out that MuleSoft implementation plan, and you DocuSign it, and you go disrupt. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Drop the clicker. Thanks.